of that is literally like, I'm telling you, for the most part, what every fucking average female content creator has to deal with is like straight up worse than what I have to deal with for the most part. And they are in that situation simply for existing. Like they're not even, it's not because of their political takes or anything like that. They are literally in that situation for simply existing as a woman on the internet. Use our emotes in other people's chats, Pepela. Wait till you see the psychos defending stalkers in the retweets. I mean, yeah, there's like a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are very sad on the internet, okay? It just sucks. There are a lot of people on the internet that are really, really in a bad place, okay? They're not in a good place at all. They're in a bad place. They are looking for a sense of community, a sense of comfort, and this kind of sense of comfort sometimes comes from you know, enjoying your content creator, being a stan, okay? Straight up. Like, you know, appreciating the content that someone does positively. And then sometimes and that can also reach unhealthy territory, certainly. Sometimes it comes from pathologically stalking someone and creating a community of people in a Discord server, actively and deliberately monitoring every single thing that that person does over the internet, and sometimes even in fucking person, as best as you can, piecing through every little thing that they're doing. Did they go out today? Did they go here? Did they go there? What time did they fucking log on to their Discord? What time did they log off their Discord? And when I explain this shit, like, I'm telling you, dude, like, most female content creators have this shit. Straight up. It's a weird line between like loving that person and fucking despising them at the same time. It's like completely pathological. I have my own version of that as well, obviously. I won't get into it too much. Not a big deal. You know, I have methods of dealing with it. But this story is way more common than you would think.
I think. She's had like an entire fucking football squad worth of stalkers, and that includes third string and bench players. She could fill up an entire Comic-Con convention center with just her stalkers. It's absolutely terrible, and again, it's not just Amaranth. Tons of streamers have talked about their personal experiences with the problem, and one that's always stuck out to me is a really frightening one. I won't name the streamer's name, but there's a streamer on Twitch who has had a problem with a member of her community for almost 4 years now, I believe. And this guy has flown down to her city, uninvited, unannounced, to try and track her down and find her. Yeah. And while doing that, even broke into another streamer's house while they were streaming, went on their stream and tried to use them to reach out to that streamer on their behalf to track her down for them. Absolute fucking lunacy. And they have also, the stalker has also written a manifesto that's over 400 pages long and still being updated to this day.
Yeah.
An actual fucking Harry Potter's book worth of delusion and all about like dating the streamer and all kinds of wild shit in there. It's just straight up horrifying and downright sad. So now let's go through Amaranth's tweets today. This is her alt account. She says that her stalker traveled from Estonia, came to her city and camped out in a hotel with a line of sight to her P.O. box and spent over a month camping out daily at a Starbucks next to the P.O. box and streamed it the entire time. Typically to 0 viewers, but growing as he gained notoriety, and every time his account would be taken down, he would just make a new one. This is already so much to digest right here. 44
One of the things that streamers also do is like try to not get those accounts taken down so they can monitor their activity as a method of like trying to defend themselves.
Days and 33 minutes according to Amaranth, and I'm guessing that's based on how long the stream was up for, based on VODs and all of that, so it was probably realistically a bit more than that, because I'm sure he was there longer off camera. So that is fucking terrifying. Not only was she being stalked, but he was doing it publicly to an audience. Mind-blowing. Camping out at a nearby Starbucks so that way he could be constantly monitoring the P.O. box, hoping to catch her. like Elmer Fudd trying to set a trap for Bugs Bunny. But that's just the beginning. She said that he'd change his name by just adding more numbers to it, and by his own admission went full scorched earth and sold everything. He sold his house, his car, all his possessions, his cat, and by his own admission again, in publicly posted vlogs, a manifesto. The only thing he brought with him was phone, clothes on his back, and a saxophone, as well as the saxophone.
For the record, I want to point out one more time. If you're in this chat right now and you feel like you are in a community alongside other people that do similar things, maybe not like leave your entire life behind and, move over to a different city or something like that. But if you spend 8 hours a day watching me, waiting for an opportunity to like clip some shit out, and I know you're in here right now, some of you are in here, it is no different than what these people are doing to Amaranth as well. I know that deep down inside you feel like you are holding me accountable, that you think I'm like an evil villain. I promise you, your relationship with the stream is deeply unhealthy. I want what's best for you. Obviously, it's a mutually beneficial relationship for me if you fuck off and, live your own life. But you can get better. You can get help. The circles and communities that you exist in that are doing this sort of thing alongside you might give you a sense of comfort and security. They might actually make you feel alive. It might feel like you're doing something that is justifiable. I'm not a bad person in the way that you think I am from all the fucking clips that you have seen. I promise you will be in a much better place mentally if you just start taking baby steps and remove yourself from those circles. I promise. Things will get better for you mentally, okay? Focus on your own self. Don't flatter yourself. Why are you like this, man? I already described exactly why I don't personally fucking usually explain my experiences in this situation. It's a little different than physically stalking someone. What makes you think I'm not talking about people that are physically stalking as well? Do I have to fucking spell everything out for all of you fucking weirdo parasocial 60-month subscriber freaks in here? Is that what I have to do? All the time? Huh? Is that what I have to do for you all the time? Maybe, how about I fucking do my own goddamn commentary, my own goddamn stream, trying to parse through a delicate matter without you fucking freaks coming in and being like, well, that's actually different. There's 35,000 people in here. How about you shut the fuck up and let me explain, let me use this as an opportunity to reach out to some people, okay?
Case, and he would play the saxophone in some live streams and in public places, and it allowed him to carry around a giant instrument case, which Amaranth said made her nervous because you can put weapons in an instrument case, and I honestly think it's a pretty reasonable fear to have because it makes no sense that he sold everything else except for a fucking saxophone and its case, unless he was planning on becoming like a traveling saxophone performer, like just going around and playing Careless Whisper forever. It makes no sense why he sold everything except that saxophone in its case, which I agree is...
The saxophone is not that bizarre because you can fucking hide a weapon in it, and Amaranth is correct in like assuming that that is something to be afraid of, for the record. You know what I mean?
Very weird, but I think the most concerning thing here is the fact that he sold all of his shit before moving from Europe to be near Amaranth and try and track her down. The fact that he sold everything prior to doing all of this is that kind of behavior that people do right before doing something drastic, like something life ruining and changing. The fact that he'll just cut all ties to everything he's ever owned like that, the whole nothing left to lose mentality, is absolutely fucking terrifying. She goes on saying that she would make it very clear that she didn't want to meet him, didn't want to be anywhere near him, but he would respond by just saying, liar, liar, fiance.
What is the right way to deal with this? Amos was coming and it sounds like she had none to resolve it. No, you have to hire armed security. That's it. The unfortunate reality is in a lot of these circumstances, you have to just wait for it to move on to another person. Yep, that's the sad fucking truth. Same with cyber stalking, which oftentimes turns into real physical stalking as well. When it comes down and everyone on the internet is like fucking up your asshole, or when it comes down and like specific communities have targeted you, it happens regularly. And these two things like go hand in hand. Oftentimes these dudes are also fucking incels and shit too. You just have to wait. Literally have to fucking wait. I'm not going to talk about any stories. I don't have any stories. I don't have any stalkers. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Yeah. There are there are units in the LAPD because of how prevalent this is in Los Angeles with influencers, celebrities, yada yada. There are units that specifically deal with shit like this, but they're not great. Anyway, like I said, it takes a lot of bravery to come out and speak about this sort of thing. Specifically because when you do speak about this, more people come in and do it. Like people go, oh shit, that's something I could do. That's great. I'm going to do it as well. It's crazy. It's like whenever someone in the chat says some like completely insane thing and then other people believe that chatter and like go along with that narrative, it's like that.
And would make dancing videos reminiscent of Buffalo Bill dancing scene and send them to her. And then she posts a picture of it. This whole situation is deeply disturbing, and the fact that he would send videos to her privately is just super fucked up as well. Literally just rubbing it in her face that he is stalking her, and there's nothing she can do about it because the law enforcement wasn't acting very efficiently here, clearly. And then the picture she posts is also super eerie. It looks like something straight out of the SCP wiki. Like, it looks like a goddamn cryptid captured on photograph. It's just an awful, awful situation. She also briefly mentioned that he adopted a feral cat, which wasn't really seen again on the streams, and then says that on Monday the 13th, he streamed himself dressed up and carrying his musical instrument case and changed into formal attire and made the last mile journey to her house and cased the vicinity for 30 minutes, to which the cops declined to act. He streamed himself outside, mumbling about how he knew it was wrong, but he has to, and then he tried breaking in and tried to gain entry, to which Amaranth again called 911, says dispatch was rude, cutting her off, put her on hold, and it took 33 minutes for the 911 responders to finally get there. Amaranth did have armed personnel on standby at her residence, according to her, that would have acted if he successfully broke in, but luckily it didn't come down to that. Law enforcement did get there, he got arrested, got detained, and she says the embassy was contacted and he's currently not in Houston, and that's all she can share for now. Luckily this story has a somewhat happy ending. They got arrested and got kicked out of Houston, hopefully also put behind bars, but there's a lot more to talk about here that I'd like to get into, and that's the...
Okay, before we move on with this, I'm going to say, like, once again, common things I've observed personally. Okay, maybe not personally. Let's just say it's not me, okay? It's someone else. But common things content creators observe all the time in characters that are engaging in this sort of obsessive pathological behavior, a profound sense of justice, a misaligned understanding of the dynamic or a relationship between you and the content creator that you feel like you know personally. Okay? You might even think that the content creator is talking to you directly. They're not. I promise you, they are not talking to you directly. Thinking that you're doing this for an overarching sense of justice is the reason why I'm, bringing that up again. Thinking that it's like a completely misunderstood sense of right and wrong, where you think like this person that you are targeting is ontologically evil, and therefore what you are doing in a very obsessive compulsive manner is actually for good. No amount of evil that you can subject this person to, no amount of tarnishing their reputation, no amount of stalking, No amount of like trying to directly get into their and access their accounts is actually that bad and all that wrong overall, because it justifies what you're doing, because you think the person that you are doing is ontologically evil. Once again, just a pure evil person. That's not true. Okay? That's not a real feeling. Other people have conditioned you into feeling that way. Okay? There is no such thing as like an ultimate evil amongst Twitch fucking streamers. Okay? It's just other people in a community that you are engaging in has told you that this person is ultimately evil and that you have to fucking do something about it. Okay? Feeling like I said, feeling like you have this person owes you something, a sense of profound entitlement, like that this person owes you something because you watch them, you've been with them since the beginning, since they were much smaller. These kinds of attitudes, these kinds of feelings are it might feel very real to you in that very moment, but you might need to seek help if that is what is going on. Obviously, medical help is not exactly all that commonplace, but there are resources that you can take advantage of that is cheap or free. Okay? I think Twitch chat should work out more. It would relieve this weirdo behavior. I agree. I think that finding your own hobbies outside of the toxic circles that you engage in, because a lot of these dudes oftentimes are also operating in communities that are pumping them up. Okay? Like, there is a very real dark side of the parasocial existence that completely revolves around, like feelings of hatred towards people. Another common thread. Thinking that this person owes you something about their personal life, the content creator owes you something about their personal life that they're hiding from you. Thinking that you know better than the actual content creator that you think have a deep and personal relationship with, where you think like, oh, that person that they're hanging out with is inappropriate for them, I'm going to defend you. You have a feeling like that? Again, that's not healthy. I think that's extremely rare. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, it is very rare. Thinking that what else? Be fair, you do hang out with a fuck ton of capitalists, Lamau. Okay, dude, you don't have to prove the point that you can also be parasocial and a fucking freak, but in a positive way, while I'm talking about negative associations. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be like, nah, actually, we do it too. Like I literally am going to do it right now. What else? And it's not as rare as you think they are. Stalkers will act like they know better than you. Chat, nah, I don't think you're right about this. Yeah. What else? Wanting the streamer to know you personally, but like know and doing everything you can in an effort to get him to know you personally or her to know you personally. And in that situation, behaving in like an insane way where you are actively trying to insert yourself into their lives. If you had to say a percentage of content creators that experiences, how much would you say it is? 100%, especially over a certain level. I mean, look, that doesn't mean this is like time for you to go and fucking, harass all your other content creators to ask them. I had to stop streaming for this exact reason, just being a woman on the internet. I put up with so much harassment and cyber stalking, but I decided to put an end to my streaming days when a stalker reached out to my 6-year-old nephew's school looking for me. When I had only been streaming for less than a year and had an average of 100 viewers per stream. It's super scary and incredibly hard to be protected against these kinds of things. Yeah. That's just every woman on the internet across the board. If you're a content creator and who's a woman on the internet, this is like the most common experience. If you're also above a certain level of notoriety on these sorts of websites, especially like Twitch, a website that kind of markets and caters to parasocial relationships, then you have a much higher likelihood of it having this sort of experience, especially when, um, yeah, it's just like really common thing that happens. It happens extra hard to women. There's also an additional component of like fear of your own personal safety and security if you're a woman. And yeah. It's not just a male thing. No, I don't just people don't just have male stalkers. For those of you who think that it's just a male thing, that's not true. Another thing that's common, and about half the smaller female streamers involved in Twitch policies that I've known since 2016 have felt they had to stop streaming because of stalkers and people harassing their family. I know you aren't saying it's only big streamers and worse for women generally, but yeah, exactly. Another component of this also revolves around, I hate to say this, but mental illness, demonstrable mental illness. There are plenty of people who think, and most of them are harmless for the most part, but you never usually know. Mental illness plays a significant role in this kind of behavior. There's a lot of, there are a lot, again, this isn't for all people who have schizophrenia, but there are a lot of people who are schizophrenic who feel as though that relationship between that parasocial relationship between you and the streamer is like even deeper than it actually is, thinking that you're dating the streamer, which in Amaranth's case is one of those instances where this person probably had some diagnosable illness, untreated mental illness, because they thought that they were in a deep relationship with the streamer herself. But a lot of that still is undiagnosed mental illness as well. The obsessive, compulsive, pathological, repetitive behavior that you're engaging in. Okay? Not you in particular, chatters. I'm just simply talking across the board. There may be some people in there that are doing that. I'm telling you right now that you can get help and you can get better. I promise you. But what you have to do, the first step, if you're one of those people, whether it's for me or for someone else, okay, the feelings that you feel towards like someone like myself or someone like another content creator, if they're incredibly powerful, so much so that you are like spending every single moment thinking about it, it's most likely not healthy for you. It gets especially worse if there's an entire community of individuals that are, amping up that intensity by telling you and reinforcing you with bad takes, constant clips. Look at this bad take. Look at how fucking bad he is. Look at how bad she is. Look at her being a piece of shit. Look at him being a piece of shit. Over and over again, sucking you back into that deep, dark circle. That pit of despair is one that you can get out of. Okay? It's really unhealthy, but you can do it. You can do it by working on yourself. Okay?
Law enforcement's response to stalking. One thing that's remained consistent across every single story of a Twitch streamer sharing their personal experience with stalkers, the one thing that is a constant is that law enforcement doesn't do anything about it.
Getting help? I'm talking about myself here.
Extremely rare cases, they'll allow them to get a restraining order, but even that's super uncommon, it seems. They just don't take it seriously. I understand, like, stalking and, like, trying to act on it as law enforcement is a pretty tough situation to be in because, it's not Minority Report where they can tell who's going to commit a crime before it happens or whatever. They're not Tom Cruise. And that's kind of the same thing here with stalking. They're trying to prevent a crime or an escalation without it having happened yet, so they don't have all of like the evidence to tell them like it's going to happen, so it makes it tough for them to actually act. But I really think in situations like this, They should be a lot more understanding and accepting of evidence. This guy streamed 44 days worth of continuous stalking and harassment, and it's all documented, all of it shared, and yet they still didn't take it seriously until he showed up at the residence. And even when he was there actively trying to break in, they didn't show up for 33 minutes and didn't take it seriously. There needs to be some kind of new way of handling this kind of situation, or it's going to continue and get worse. Another streamer named Sweet Anita also had a similar problem with a stalker, except law enforcement was somehow even more inept here when it came to the situation. This stalker would publicly threaten her, send her threatening messages about how he's gonna kill her, gut her, use a knife and slit her open, and just like crazy, unhinged shit. And in